before. I'm glad to see you in the audience. So who's ready for a laugh this morning? Yay! All right, so I'd love to get to know you a little bit more. If you can put in the chat, who is your favorite comedian? Who makes your stomach hurt or your face hurt from laughing so much today? Who's your favorite comedian? Feel free to write it in the chat. Yep, Jim Carrey and Rachel Dratch. Jerry Seinfeld, always a great way to laugh. Robin Williams, amazing, amazing, amazing comedian. George Carlin, Sebastian Maniscalco, we're gonna watch a little bit of him this morning. Jim Gaffigan, when I'm having a rough day and before I go to work, I put him on and just love to start laughing. So I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna go through a PowerPoint presentation. So nice to meet all of you this morning. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my day job, and then I'm going to talk about my nighttime job. So our presentation this morning, we're going to talk about what stand-up comedy can teach you about the secrets of entrepreneurship. So thanks so much for sharing your favorite comedian. Those are, a lot of my favorites, your go-to, and there's so many new comedians. And Tampa Bay actually has, and St. Pete has an amazing comedy scene. So I'm so excited to be here. So I'm the director of the Tampa Bay Women's Business Center. I moved here last September, and our mission is to help female entrepreneurs launch and grow successful businesses. We do that by offering free business coaching, weekly webinars, trainings. We launched a wonderful mastermind program that's going great. And during the COVID crisis, we've helped a lot of entrepreneurs access grants and loans for the PPP, the EIDL, and so forth. And for all of you, as you might know, the PPP deadline's been extended to May 31st. So our coaches are on standby to help. Our coaches are bilingual in English and Spanish. The Tampa Bay Women's Business Center was founded in 2013. I taught entrepreneurship for over 10 years and I had no idea this cool thing existed. So the SBA has over 130 women's business centers across the nation. You've probably heard of SCORE or the SBDC. We're under the same type of umbrella. We have offices in Tampa at the Helen Gordon Davis Center for Women and in St. Petersburg, Florida at the Poynter Institute. And we offer free coaching to entrepreneurs who live in one of the 6 counties, Hillsborough, Hernando, Pinellas, Polk, Pasco, or Manatee County. And we're funded in part by the Small Business Administration. We have a wonderful team of business coaches with experience in law, finance, accounting, marketing, social media. And as you know, as being an entrepreneur, there's so much that you have to know. Like maybe your expertise is in marketing, but you have to also do finance and accounting. And I had a purse boutique. I remember I'd come in and sweep the floors, clean the toilets, make purses, ship stuff out, do the website. It was nonstop, but I loved it. All of our virtual coaching is done online via Zoom, Teams, or via the old-fashioned telephone. And again, our free webinars are offered each and every week about a variety of different topics from business planning, marketing, technology, emotional wellness, and finance. So 2020, and I'm gonna say 2021 has been kind of a tough year, but I think life in general, we have our ups and downs. I moved from South Florida and my condo complex was, everyone, the average age I think was 70, but I liked being the youngest one there. So I said, all right, at what age do we get a break? Like nothing bad's gonna happen. Is it 50 to 55? Is it 60 to 62? Is there like a break? And they would say, nope, your health goes down and it gets worse. I said, that's not the right answer. So when you're having a rough day, or as we've gone through the COVID crisis and we've had to pivot, shift, a lot of moms and dads have become not only doing their day jobs and parenting, but they've also become teachers at home. So great outlet, great way to kind of deal with stress is to laugh. So let's get started this morning with our first laugh with one of my favorites, Sebastian Maniscalco. And I'm saying that wrong, Scalco.
Week I was at jury duty the whole week. Am I the only one going to this stuff? I call my friends, you going? Nah, we shredded. What? So I go 7:30 in the morning, right? 300 people. right? You sit there in this little room, right? And I don't know, man, we're in trouble as a country. If you want to get a temperature gauge on what society is looking like, go to jury duty. They say it's a jury of your peers. The people there are one step away from being a defendant. Now, nobody knows how to follow instruction. The guy's up there. It's simple. Name. Okay, name, right? Address. And people are like, Then he opens it up for questions. Any questions? Worst thing you could do to the general public is start opening up a question session. The hands that shot, this woman's shoulder almost popped up. People love to hear themselves speak. I have a medical condition. Nobody gives a shit. Fill out the form and go to the courtroom. The guy next to me in broken English asked me how to put his name tag into the laminate. And I'm like, you're gonna determine? Whether somebody goes to prison and you're having problems with the name badge?
All right, he's amazing. One of the highest paid and most hilarious comedians out there today. Let's close this guy down. So great opportunity for a laugh, one of my favorite. So I'm gonna just toggle back and forth between YouTube and PowerPoint. So I started stand-up comedy in 2014. I wrote a marketing book called Seduce Your Customers to help entrepreneurs create marketing strategies to increase customer loyalty. And I did a national speaking tour, and I always thought I was good at public speaking. I was a college professor for 18 years, but I didn't have experience at larger audiences. So I took a stand-up comedy class to help my public speaking skills, and I fell in love with stand-up comedy. I did stand-up comedy in 2014. I then enrolled in a doctoral program. I had my doctorate in business, and when I completed that, I got back into stand-up comedy. Before COVID hit, I was performing 3 to 5 nights a week all over South Florida at the Improv in Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, the Carlson Comedy Club in Rochester, New York, running my own shows and own rooms. And there's nothing better for me than being on stage and having someone laugh at your jokes. So just a short clip of me at the Improv in Palm Beach.
And I do crazy stuff. Like the other day, I went to buy a dozen donuts. I returned them because they had holes in them. No, I'm just kidding. I went back, I bought the holes, and I ate the whole thing. So I love food. I think about it all the time. And it drives me crazy when people tell me they forget to eat. I have a friend, she's like the size of my leg. It's dinner. She's like, oh my God, I forgot to eat. Who the heck forgets to eat? Not once in my life have I forgotten. And I've got a little bit of a belly, but it's expensive. This is Godiva fat, not McDonald's. Why can't I get a little credit?
All right. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely gained the COVID-19 enjoying lots of crazy treats to get myself through.
Meet your next.
All right, so here today we're going to talk a little bit about the similar characteristics between stand-up comedy and entrepreneurs. So as an entrepreneur, when you decided to start your business, you had to be a risk taker because you're not going to get a standard paycheck each and every week. One of the biggest things I've learned from comedy is how to handle criticism and rejection. And when I had my boutique, people wanted to come in and criticize or give suggestions, or maybe when I was trying to do some sales, when I was doing consulting. it's a tough thing to handle. We're going to talk about bombing on stage, which is the worst feeling in the world, but I'm used to it from teaching with everyone just looking at me with a die bitch die face. When is she going to let us out for lunch? But you have to handle criticism, rejection. Also, being an entrepreneur, you have to be determined, confident, self-motivated, resilient. The big word of 2020, have the ability to pivot and to be disciplined. So we're going to go into details and explain each of these a little bit more. So when you first launched your business, you were definitely a risk taker. So you could have maybe gone into a full-time 9-to-5 type of job, but you had an idea, you had some passion, you decided to branch out on your own. A lot of what I hear with our clients, I'm too old, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough experience, I don't have a college education. So it's really putting those voices in the back of our head and really just stepping out. What I love about Mrs. Hughes is she's a comedian and started in her 40s. There's been amazing, if we think about comedians such as George Burns, Phyllis Diller, Mrs. Hughes, all amazing later in life. So she started just doing some open mics and stand-up at the age of 40, and she has flourished and performs all over the United States and Canada. So let's take a look at Mrs. Hughes.
I am Mrs. Hughes. I've been married a long time. I've been married so long that my oldest daughter's my age. I didn't mean to be married this long. No, I just stuck around the last 10 years pretty much to piss him off.
Let me show you how to create an amazing ad using stock footage. Go to artgrid.io. Look.
Who thought Till Death Do Us Part was going to take this long? People ask me all the time, what's the secret to a long and happy marriage? I can tell you the secret to a long one. Children. That's the reason my husband and I are together today, is the kids. Neither of us wanted custody. If any of you out there are planning on having children, take my advice and have natural childbirth. Save that anesthesia till that kid's a teenager and you're really ready. My son Scooter was the sweetest child on the planet. 10 years old, we're at dinner one night and he goes, Mama, when I get married, I want to marry someone exactly like you. Then out of the corner of my eye, I saw my husband go. 1 minute, Scooter's 10 years old and the sweetest child. The next thing you know, like that, he's 15 and he's cocked an attitude. We'd been fighting all day and he came over to me and he goes, so, why'd you have me? Well, actually, we didn't know it'd be you. We were hoping for someone with a job. Well, he's all grown up now, he's in love and he wants to get married. Do you think she's anything like me? The first time I met Hiawatha, she had a safety pin to her eyebrow. I didn't even know your eyebrow could fall off. Stop it, I only have 8 minutes. Neither one of these kids are the sharpest cheese on the cracker. She thinks fiance and finance are spelled the same. He thinks God's name is Howard. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. It's my fault. When he was growing up, I said to him, don't get smart.
these videos a million times and they make me laugh each and every time. Amazing, amazing comedians. And she's had a flourishing career. Another one of people's favorites, Bill Burr. I want to talk about handling criticism and rejection. Amazing comedian. And a lot of comedians that you see that are famous comedian celebrities today have worked years and years to get where they are. So when Bill Burr was first starting out, he performed at a college cafeteria in Kansas. This is not a comedian's dream. The problem was no one told the students in the cafeteria there was going to be a comedy show, and he bombed. It is the worst feeling in the world. I performed about 3 weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks ago at a dive bar at an open mic. I bombed. Nobody laughed at my jokes. I went straight to go get ice cream. It was horrible. But when you bomb, what do? You get up the next day. The next week I performed at the same place. I crushed it. I had 5 people come up asking if I performed professionally and where could they come see me. But that's life, right? When you have your own business, you could have a great day, great sales, and then maybe the next day, nothing, the world goes upside down, COVID comes in or I remember last year it was like murder hornets and you're like, oh my God, what next? So as we go through life, as we go through business, we have to be able to handle criticism and rejection. Another key factor that's similarity between comedians and entrepreneurs is determination. As a small business owner, you are not punching a clock. No one's telling you the hours to work. I know for me, I'm just used to working 6 days a week, 18 hours a day as an entrepreneur. It becomes your child. You think about it 24/7. You want it to grow. You want it to flourish. And building a business is hard work. People think you get from A to Z and become this amazing entrepreneur, like a lot of the folks that are YouTube sensations. When I was teaching fashion merchandising, everyone wants to be one of the YouTube sensations doing makeup and so forth. Those folks work really hard. Same thing with comedian Kevin Hart. A lot of people think call him an overnight success, and he's not. It took over 20 years to get where he is today. For small business owners, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, approximately 20% of new businesses fail during the first 2 years of being open. 45% fail during the first 5 years and 65% during the first 10 years. Only 25% of new businesses make it to 15 years or more. I put that quote up there not to be depressed or be negative, but to show you that it's very, very hard work, and congratulations for you to get to where you are today. So let's watch a short clip about Kevin Hart and determination.
For me, you know what? I believe hard work pays off. You know, when you say it's been...
At Target, the low prices never end.
It's been my year, and it's my time. You know, Hollywood has a way of making everything seem like an overnight success. Oh my God, where did this guy come from? Oh, this kid, who is he? Look, he's a massive star. I 18 years in the business, you know.
You put in your 10,000 hours.
I put in my time. You know, I got dues that have been paid and paid again and paid one more time after that. I stayed true to my dreams, and by doing that, eventually they came true.
But there has to be something, I won't say special about you, because I believe we all have the same human abilities, possibilities. Not everybody can do the same thing, but there has to be something that is different, because there are lots of people who try, and there are lots of people who want it, and there are lots of people who have that desire. What was the difference, do you think, for you?
The difference for me was I paid attention to what people did before me, whether it was right or wrong. Everybody that's successful lays a blueprint out. You laid the blueprint out. You know, I can go down a list from comedians to actors to entrepreneurs to self-made moguls. You look at Russell Simmons, you look at Jay-Z, you look at Tyler Perry, you look at Puff. I mean, you're looking at people that start off with a small vision, and that vision manifested into something beyond expectation. So what I did was, from the people around me, my mentors, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Pryor,
who are all on the walls.
All on the walls.
Yeah.
All on the walls.
So you surround yourself with that.
I surround myself with a constant reminder of who's great. Constantly. I come down these steps every day. I look at Richard. Yo, he's great. I see Eddie. He was great. I see Chris Rock. He was great. It's a constant reminder. What am I trying to achieve? I want to be great. So that motivates me. So the thing that separates me is my drive. My drive is other people's success.
So two great things I want to talk about from that video and determination. What he was talking about when putting all the different folks that came before him. How many of you in the audience have a mentor or someone maybe in business, maybe you don't even know this person that you look up to? When I've got actually two mentors one that helped me through the PhD program and another mentor that helps me in business. When I had my purse boutique, I would always say, what would Vera Wang do? What would Kate Spade do? Because I was very impressed in how they grew their businesses. Another thing that Kevin Hart talked about by putting the posters or pictures of the icons that he admired. Has anyone ever done a vision board? So a vision board kind of helps you to see where do you want to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and it could be both personally and professionally. And you can cut out magazines, which don't really exist anymore, or you can find photos. What I'll do is I'll go online and I'll create my vision board on a PowerPoint because I can't use Photoshop or Illustrator. But if you're cool like that, you can. But you just grab photos of where do you see your business in 5 to 10 years? And it could be 1 year, where do you see yourself personally? And what are some things that inspire you? So vision boards are great at inspiring determination. Another thing that's important is to be confident. Again, a lot of our entrepreneurs that we work with at the Tampa Bay Women's Business Center, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have the education or the experience. Nobody did when they first started. So it's important to build confidence. A lot of people have the imposter syndrome. They don't feel like they should be there. And you've probably heard that quote, you have to fake it till you make it. So this is a picture that I took that I have on my comedy vision board. This is at the Broward Performing Arts Center in Fort Lauderdale, similar to the Strauss Center here. And a good friend of mine took me to see Belle Biv DeVoe and En Vogue. This was, I think, last February before. It was like one of the greatest nights of my life because I remember all those songs from the 80s and 90s. So we had front row seats. I turned around and I took a picture of the audience because on my bucket list, and I always get a little verklempt because this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. I want to be on a big stage and I want to perform. It is scary and nerve-wracking as heck, but I act as if I should be there and act as if I'm already a successful comedian. Another thing I do to help me stay motivated is I have a mantra. And sometimes getting out of bed is tough in the morning, or maybe you've got to work on a presentation late at night. Do you have a saying or a mantra that keeps you going? It could be a quote, a cheer, a statement. It could be a quote from somebody else that you admire. What I use in comedy every time before I get up on stage in my head, I listen to Justin Bieber music. I'm going to explain why in a couple of minutes. And I say to myself, you were born to do this. I have such passion and absolutely love doing it. Does anyone have a quote that motivates them or mantra? Feel free to share it in the chat. All right, and that's okay if you don't. All right, self-motivated. He's not a comedian, but he is amazing. Let's talk about Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is the greatest swimmer of all time. He won 23 gold medals, 3 silver medals, and 2 bronze medals. And at the age of 31 years old. And he stays self-motivated. For a year before he trained for one of the Olympics, he worked out 365 days a year. He did not miss for a holiday. He did not miss at all. And he works out twice a day. So how do we stay self-motivated? Because in life, things can really throw us a curveball. Professionally, personally, how do you get up and stay motivated? So what are the tools that you use to psych yourself up in your business? So Michael Phelps, great example of psyching yourself up. In stand-up comedy, people will go to open mics. They'll have comedians that are supportive, that'll say, hey, get back up on stage, great job. And putting together a plan. So when you have a business, how many of you in the audience have a strategic plan of where do you want to get to? Are you achieving your goals? When I first got to the Tampa Bay Women's Business Center, I put together a strategic plan. And our fiscal year starts in October. So we're just finishing out Q2. We're looking at Q3. So yesterday I was looking, okay, did I achieve all my Q2 goals? What's on the docket for Q3 and how are we doing? So, and I'm proud to say we've achieved our goals and we're ahead of schedule. All right, another great word for 2020, 2021 is resilience and looking for the silver lining. So when COVID hit, and I felt so terrible for folks that had a retail store, a restaurant, a comedy club, all of those things closed. And how did you pivot? So we saw restaurants doing takeout, e-commerce stores flourishing. I was friends with a woman who had a clothing boutique in Fort Lauderdale. She had to shift and go online. Her business now is double than what it was before. She's selling mostly through Instagram and just crushing it. Probably not her first choice, but she was able to be resilient. So just a personal story from me. I lost my hearing 5 years ago in my right ear, and I am partially deaf. I have a service dog. Hearing aids don't work. I can't hear half the time, and some days, and yesterday I was on a webinar for 4 hours and I couldn't hear a thing, and it was very depressing. But got to get up the next day. However, being deaf for comedy is the best material, and it makes me a unique comedian. I can still hear out of one ear, and I think when I bombed a couple of weeks ago, I taped the recording, and I'm like, oh my God, people laughed at my jokes. I just couldn't hear it, so I felt a little bit better. So I want to talk about being resilient and show you guys a clip. This is me at the Villain Theater. This is a theater in Miami, Florida.
About 2 years ago, I lost my hearing in my right ear, and I'm partially deaf. Probably because I went to too many Justin Bieber concerts. So what happens when you start to lose your hearing is everything sounds like you're underwater. You can't make out words. I went to the doctor. He told me I have a special condition called food-obsessed hearing loss. Let me explain. Whenever I meet a guy named Blake, I hear cake. I was watching TV and there was an expose about Snooki. I heard cookie. My boyfriend asked me to go get him a peach tie. I brought home a peach pie. Sometimes being partially deaf gets me in trouble. Last week I was performing late night at a comedy show and I didn't hear the announcer say we needed to get our parking tickets validated. Well, I walk out at 1 a.m., everything's closed except for a strip club. Look at me, I've never been to a strip club. I'm desperate to get my parking ticket validated. So I go in, no such luck, they wouldn't validate my ticket. But that night, I made $500. I could have made $1,000 if I hadn't been wearing my granny panties. I admit, I've given up, I wear granny panties. My entire goal in life is to be horizontal. I'm exhausted. I just want to lay down. You can't tell, I used to be an athlete and work out, and I used to get sore from exercising. Now I get muscle cramps from sleeping.
All right. So a lot of great stuff came out of being deaf for me as a comedian. Let me try to get out of this. All right, let's talk about Justin Bieber. So I love Justin Bieber music, and it just motivates me, inspiring. He's a hot mess. He's a hot mess, I think, as a person. I think he's turning stuff around. But actually, I watched him on some Instagram Live, and he connected with his audience, and a lot of folks went at the beginning of COVID. It was actually really spectacular. So I had to pivot because a lot of my comedy was dirty. That clip you just saw, I had applied to try out for America's Got Talent, and I had to send them 2 minutes of clean material, which is for a comedian is very hard to do. It's hard to be clean. So I had to pivot from the dirty material to the clean material. But my love for Justin Bieber, people often ask, how did I lose my hearing? And, the doctor, as I mentioned, said, hey, did you go to a lot of concerts? And I said, I love Justin Bieber, probably because I'm a cougar and I'm deaf, which makes me a deaf leopard. Let's talk about discipline. Jerry Seinfeld, probably one of the best examples of discipline. He wakes up and he writes on a yellow legal pad, not a computer, yellow legal pad. And he wrote all the Seinfeld series on the legal pad. And he writes every single day and uses a calendar to check things off. One of you mentioned that you love George Carlin. He was also a very disciplined comedian. So when you write a joke or you write a set, you have to look for the nuances in the words and changing the words. Is it funny? Is it not funny? Can you move the words around? The Justin Bieber joke in Def Leppard took a while. Jerry Seinfeld has a Pop-Tart joke that he worked on for over a year. So how disciplined are entrepreneurs in their business of going and doing what they need to do every day? Again, there's no boss over their head. I know for me, I learned I was like so excited when I had my own business. No one's going to tell me what to do. And then I suddenly realized, oh yeah, there's not one, there's hundreds of people called the customer. So another joke I just wanted to share in talking about discipline. I think people went one way or the other during 2020. I saw people get in great shape and they did all this stuff from home. I hate those people. And then there's people like me that gained the COVID-19. I would get up every morning, I'd roll out my yoga mat. I'm like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna try to do something. And I actually used to be a tennis pro. I used to be an athlete in my 20s and I've always worked out until COVID hit. I don't know, I took it as a great time to kind of relax. So I get out of bed, roll out my yoga mat, I get back in bed, watch the news. So now my yoga mat has become a rug. Terrible. So what I've added on to that joke, I went to get a physical for the first time in 3 years the other day. And yes, I've gained the COVID-19. I've probably become an alcoholic with half the rest of the world. I don't know about you guys, but happy hour when it first started for me was like at 5 or 6, then it was at 4, and suddenly I'm French drinking at noon. That was fun. No, I'm joking, by the way, but that's part of my routine. So I thought those two are bad, but you can fix those. So I went to get a physical and the doctor told me I shrunk 2 inches. And I'm like, do it again, it's not right. Sure enough, since COVID, I've shrunk 2 inches. So if there's another pandemic in the next couple of years, I'm gonna be a midget. All right. So I thought we'd do an interactive exercise. And as I've talked about, dealing with difficult situations, where can we find the humor? So you probably, and I didn't make this up, you've heard I've gained the COVID-19. I was sick last February, so I tell people I had COVID before it was cool. If anyone remembers the fires that were happening in California and Colorado late last summer, last fall, devastating. I lived in Southern Oregon and worked for Harry and David doing marketing and finance, and towns right next to where we worked were absolutely destroyed. I was so worried about so many of my coworkers and friends. But then I started to think about fire and smoke really destroys everything. But then I thought, how delicious is smoked cheddar cheese, smoked almonds? God, if they ever invent smoked chocolate, I'm dead. So feel free to write in the chat if you have a joke about maybe a challenging situation that has happened. I have tons of jokes about Governor Cuomo. I hope he keeps up the shenanigans because he's given me great material. Anyone have a tough situation that you can find the humor? I'm looking for the chat box. You'll hear a lot of comedians say too soon, too soon. So if something bad happens, one of my neighbors, I didn't know her, but her husband passed away. And the comedian in my head wanted to say, did you like him? But I have to remember I'm not on stage all the time. Yeah, I've been working at home alone for so long. My Logitech camera has become my Wilson. I like that. Maybe many of you are in your new work outfit, your Zoom outfit. So you're dressed maybe from the belly button up and wearing sweatpants, shorts, or yoga pants. I like that. All right, another great thing about stand-up comedy is when I first started stand-up, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be all alone on stage, and you only see usually one comedian at a time, but it's really an amazing community. These are some of the places that I performed with friends of mine, or just even friends that come to watch my shows. I have comedians I can call 24/7. And as soon as COVID started to get a little bit better, I decided to get back out and started to meet some of the comedians in the area, and so warm, writing workshops. Hey, check out this open mic. Hey, tweak this joke a little bit. It's really great. I went back to South Florida to perform at a show last Friday, and 3 of my comedian friends came to watch. So it was a lot of fun. As an entrepreneur, you're solo, you're by yourself, but you're not. There's people in your community, hence why you're here today at the Chamber of Commerce. Who are the people in your life that lift you up, that give you, feel better, that give you that support, tell you you're doing a great job? Throw those toxic negative people to the side, call them once a year, but find your community. Who can help you, whether that's a mentor, a colleague, co-workers. A lot of my store neighbors were great support when I did my boutique. I feel it's important to give back, whatever we do in life, and hence why I'm at the Tampa Bay Women's Business Center. It's great joy and pleasure to me to see what our coaching and our webinars have done and mastermind groups to help our clients achieve their goals. When I was doing stand-up comedy, I was performing in a number of senior homes. And for me, it was just a great way to give back. Actually, a very, very tough crowd. But one of the jokes I got out of that was a lot of people think, like, when's the best birthday? Like, just if we think back, like 16 was pretty cool, right? Because you could drive. 21, a lot of people got excited about going to bars, being able to drink. But nobody tells you the best birthday of all is turning 55. You get to move into a 55 and over community. And no, they don't let the secret out. What do you get to do? You get to drive a golf cart. Ladies, no more bras. And there's something called pickleball. I don't know, it's a cross between tennis and ping pong. There's food involved, there's pickles, but I'll take it. I missed my symbol. There we go. Anyway, there's more to that joke, and it's dirty, so I can't do it during the day, but come out and see me at night, you'll hear the rest of it. A lot of entrepreneurs will do social responsibility programs, finding ways to work with charities to give back, to align themselves, doing things that can help the community in different sorts of ways. And what I really have enjoyed about moving to Tampa Bay, it's a very collaborative community and a lot of organizations working together to give back and wonderful resources for the community. So I wanted to end on one more laugh, but also just to show you what it looks like to write a joke. And again, back to my resilience of being deaf. So I know I need to go on a diet because I've got to get back in dating shape. I've been divorced, but I'm going to move into the 55 and over community in a couple of years. So I need to get ready. So a friend of mine suggested the keto diet. And I'm like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. But being deaf, what I heard was the Cheeto diet. Sorry, that was a cheesy joke. So my name again is Dr. Kerry. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook in comedy. I hope to be performing at the comedy clubs here, Side Splitters, Improv, Coconuts in a couple months once I become unrusty, but I'm out and about in the area at open mics, kind of undercover right now, working on my set. But here's how to contact me at the Tampa Bay Women's Business Center if you have any questions about that. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Dr. Kerry, I just want to say that's got to be so hard to be performing when you can't see the audience nor hear them. So good job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, nobody laughs. But again, back to teaching. So yeah, I didn't do a lot of Zoom comedy shows. I did one, but there's no feedback or laughter, and it's definitely challenging.
Good job.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kerry. This was by far the funniest Zoom I've ever been on, so props to you. Thank you all for being with us today. If you have any additional questions for Dr. Kerry, she'll stay on for a few moments But it was good to see everybody. Again, Taste of South Tampa is May 2nd. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or want to exhibit or participate. Have a good one, y'all. Have a great week.
All of you.
Thank you. Good job.
Hey, Dr. Kerry.
Yes.
Hi, Steve Riddle with the American Lung Association. Was just curious. I know a lot of times when you're an